And we're going on to a map, Mimi, where they've already bested WADA before.
They have. When V1 lost that finals, it was to Power Pixel and Starbound. That was a long time ago, and that was not facing down the barrel of a 2-0 start. Last time WADA played this map against Shopify, they did not win a single round on defense. Dodonut went 12-2 on their attacking side. They need more than 0 rounds on defense this time, I would say, to have a chance at winning here.
Yeah, a bold statement coming out of Mimi. More than 0 rounds gives you a shot. But honestly, look, WADA, we look again towards these pistol rounds. 0 for 4 on the day, and I feel a bit like a broken record saying it. We'll see if they can respond to the early aggression. Dodonut plays quick, and that's no different here. Femboy finding the first frag.
Yeah, very good opener. There's not a lot of players to actually hold on B, but SR decide not to excel without their duelists. They'll reset the round a little bit and try and call back to this lurk on A.
Dodonut has not been the series-defining player today that we've seen previously in many other games. So often it's fallen to the supporting staff of Shopify Rebellion. Noya often on these lurks, doing such great work, usually slower to activate. This time, though, has called the team back into her. Rotate's already in from WADA, but these thorns are going to be annoying to stall it out.
But no one actually on the site. Instead, Power Pixel falls back to double up on stairs. So Shopify will be able to get this site pretty much uncontested and maybe even fight towards CT.
Yeah, 3 players in shop for WADA. They're definitely going to want to get out here quickly. Off some utility or just off of the swing. 3 players face on in. Mel dealt with in main. And while the spike is planted, Shopify Rebellion are hopelessly outnumbered, holding their ground. Sarah has to go for the reload, and WADA will take their first pistol round of the finals.
Very nicely done there by WADA. Play a super reserve setup towards stairs, have a high-low there, and then just wait for those rotates to come in and win out in the brawl. They have in previous rounds, I think, kind of gone a little too quickly into some of these retakes, have been decimated by the SR post plants, but here they get fully set up together, they punish into that one, and crucially, actually convert an advantage. In both map 1 and 2, they were leading in first kills and struggled to convert in those 5v4s.
Yeah, good spacing coming out of shop there, playing off one another very well. It's going to be a meaty buy for them coming on in. You have to consider the Outlaw and Starbound's hands, but also WADA stacking 3 players towards this A site right now.
Just wanted the orb. They're going to back up now and go back maybe towards mid or just to collect that orb on the B side of the map as well. For Alexis, already halfway to that breach ultimate.
The macro, Mimi, has been a big focus point throughout today. Back on the first map, certainly on Haven, with Shopify getting the better hand of WADA pretty frequently. I'm really curious to see how flexible WADA can be on their defensive setups with how much they struggled the previous time on this half when they faced against Shopify Rebellion. And like this shouldn't be too difficult with this Outlaw ready for anyone to come around the corner. There's Shopify ping out onto the site, get ready to move on in. Starbound actually gets smoked off, just these on-site smokes to try and get a plant.
Yeah, all the way out on site already, ready to pop through, but Femboy has the judge. This could cook. That's 3. Femboy dances around and tucks back in for the 4th. Should be the ace. And Femboy grabs it. That is impeccable.
That is awesome. Switching not just from the judge, but to the classic, to everything, sliding around for the iBUYPOWER ace. And that is a momentum builder, if ever you've seen one, right? I mean, this team has been getting shut out map after map. To come in, even on anti-eco like that, and get the confidence flowing has to feel amazing.
Yeah, the movement is so clean there to pull out the ace with the judge. SR, though, you talked a little bit about how they play their macro here, and, well, in this round, they're going to have to deal with a bit of a faster play than we've seen thus far. Femboy already down, embedded in mid.
Yeah, hard to run these fast plays without a breach in your comp, but they use the paranoia. Almost like a fault line there as Femboy continues going into spawn. That's a mistake, because Noya simply exists. That is gross. 4 players, one after another. Just torches them.
That looked like an aim training routine. Just perfectly flicks to every head as they swing one by one. I don't know if I've seen a round state like this before. Look at where the X's are for the defenders. 4 bodies in spawn, an A site taken, and this round 3, it is done.
You don't like Starbound's chances?
Not really. Only got 2 bullets in the Outlaw, already spotted. Maybe give Noya the ace. Could we go back to back?
It's rough. I mean, looking forward to the next round. Starbound definitely going to want to die here and then upgrade into an operator.
Yes.
Noya a bit on the hunt. Go get your ace. That's a way of, turning it right back around. WADA get their ace, and then you just instantly steal it back. Noya's not going to quite find this player, though.
Oh, come on,
going to finish the job there. The Shopify Rebellion get on the board.
Still, a very nice round there for Noya. But what I was trying to talk about before we got back-to-back aces was the fact that the pretty much exact same comp, switching out the Neon for the Yoru on this map, has been played on all 3 maps here. WADA, they never really got into the tail meta. They've been so committed to this double Senti setup. And I think we've seen the same through lines with how Mel has beaten it on every map. Playing these slow attack sides, finding the site which is just held by utility, and getting through the gap. It has been so consistent. And dealing with the off, that's been another key.
Annoying, though, again, just getting pushed away. Even having this attacking smoke inside of main to remove angles and open up the opportunity to sort of push out of how it gives that little extra angle to creep out into the site.
Look over towards A main.
Yeah, it crept all the way up. Broke a tripwire.
But this is just going to be an exec on B with the Rolling Thunder.
Yep, it is time. Smoke's in, Rolling Thunder out, Starbound going to run all the way back in towards Boba. We'll be able to get this high angle, just barely see over the top of this smoke. My eyes also go into mid, where Noya is going to be waiting on a late lurk. And Juna gets 2 kills just spamming through the smoke? What's going on over there? Juna now holding her ground while Noya is forced to accelerate on the lurk, break away a tripwire. But again, that door is annoying. Noya is making so much noise to try and give something towards Sarah, who's creeping into Boba and has found her mark. She gets hers, and now Noya goes back in. A 2-on-3 out of a seemingly hopeless situation from Shopify Rebellion. And Sarah still posted forward on the line. Alexis ready to play off of her. Keeps creeping forward. Again and again, that's going to be another. Sarah waiting for more players to challenge. Again, she finds it. 3 on the round. And again, she gets it. 4 for Sarah. We're all tied up.
The second 4K in 4 rounds for Sarah Frags. The way that plays out is so incredible. She sidesteps, first of all, to get the chamber, walking under Starbound's line of sight, getting the opener here, and then dodges the paranoia, walking towards spawn, and perfectly isolates every one of these remaining 3 players. Sure, Alexis was alive, but that was practically a 1v4 for Sarah.
Sarah is playing out of her mind this series. Both previous maps top fragging, now coming up clutch when her team's down in numbers. It is just impressive to watch her work the map, and almost got a little bit ugly there, taking out the shock dart, but what her info has done on B has meant this A site free for the taking.
And something that's so interesting about Sarah is how often she's playing alone in a lot of these rounds. Think back to Pearl on defense, where she's walking up to face in main alone. On this map, she's going to be into B main, facing alone. But she does such a great job of staying disciplined in those positions and not taking too much of a risk. As over towards mid, the util for that reclear is just brutal for Juna to deal with.
Yeah, you hate to see that one. I think Juna tried to creep in front of the door she closed in Market. Ends up getting punished brutally for it. Shopify Rebellion call another good round. This round, it feels like WADA were sort of sprinting back and forth between the 2 sites. Mel just calling around it expertly.
I'm not going to lie, it feels like this whole series has been WADA getting forced to run back and forth between sites, and SRG having one lurker that they call back in too late and winning rounds because of it.
And again, ideas in the post plant, this shallow smoke, giving a little pocket for Dodo to play the offline on.
Stop switching guns. Thank you.
Having a little bit too much fun, perhaps, but we'll still get her 3 on the round. And Astralis, not long for this world on 27 HP. Right flush on the smoke. Astralis is doing some crazy things. But Power Pixel can't pick up where she left off, and Mel secures the round.
Nearly gets a little spicy there with some nice shots from Astralis. I think Astralis all the game has been real good with the Sheriff in particular. But this is going to be a critical round now. Looking ahead for WADA. They have 2 of their big ults online with the Steel Garden and the Neon Finger Guns as well. It'll be great tools for a retake, and honestly, I just want them to stay a little bit more stoic on the defense. They have been really quickly reacting into these rotations for SR, but if they can just play like a 2-1-2 and set up retakes more like they did
Mimi, we don't have time to think. It's a quick dive. Omen ult back into spawn, gets canceled away, and Dodo now is just shot down by Power Pixel. Okay,
yeah,
make your point, because Shopify aren't doing much now.
Well, they might just go back in pretty quick. They're going to cancel for a second, let these smokes fade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The rotates were coming in a little bit too quickly, so even if Shopify, they're making some noise, just slow things down and seed some doubt in the back of WADA's mind.
Where do they want to go now? They haven't found out about Starbound's op yet. They're set up in mid, but in a much more passive line this time. Smoke threatens a walk up in that space now.
A little bit uncomfortable for the op to hold there as well. The different angles players could be creeping out of that smoke. Noya has been sticking around on A this whole time, though.
Yeah, heading back into this lurk now. There's 3 players for WADA, and that's a great setup between Femboy and Astralis on the site.
And Sarah has the Hunter's Fury. It's possible Shopify call to use this on the hit. That could pose some serious problems for the players on site. So could Noya. That high low just been dropped out of, but Femboy and Power Pixel are all here. This is just a beautiful round out of WADA. Flawless for them.
Great job punishing that fast hit. All series, they have done a good job of dealing with Dodo on the dives. She's by far not been the player that takes over the game, the way she did in the upper final when it was the same exact matchup. Here they've done a great job of shutting her down. The issue is a lot of those 4v5 slipping away. Here, they set up a very nice site hold. They get those crossfires, play it super clean, and get rewarded because of it. Didn't even have to use an ult that round. Now the ults are flowing and op is online, and for the first time this game, it feels like WADA have a chance to actually take some control.
It's interesting, too. It's the first time we've seen Shopify call such an early timeout, and it makes sense. It's the first game that has felt neck and neck, right? All the others, Shopify, they're running away to these huge leads, but now Effie's going to pump the brakes a little bit, figure out the buy. It's a little bit scuffed, 4 rifles and a half there, but knowing about all those ultimates they have to deal with, knowing about the operator of Starbound are all going to be major concerns of Shopify.
Yeah, I think that they're going to be able to get a buy here. Toss that rifle over from Dodonut. She'll pop the finger guns when they actually try and go into an execute. But thus far, Shopify have actually, I think, struggled to get lurks embedded in the same way they have the other maps this series. There's been a couple times where Noya maybe gets into halls in some of these late rounds, but it hasn't been a consistent thing. WADA has done a better job of re-clearing towards elbow, getting players posted up more forward on A, and not letting SR go into these late rounds lurk pivots that they have so consistently.
Well, Shopify Rebellion want to make noise over towards A again. The dart shows a Sova. Now Neon creeping forward as well, but Spike is moving back, and now Starbound finding the opening pick. The rotates start to come through from WADA. The issue being, Shopify Rebellion aren't really in position to capitalize on anyone leaving B site yet.
Add it to the tally. Another opener for Starbound, taking care of Dodonut. Where does Shopify go? They leave 3 towards B main, and send a bit of a walk up mid. Mel,
a little
want to
bit
bait
annoying.
that out or just leave it be for now?
Is there ever a world where she sends a teleport past it? It might be crazy. At the same time, Shopify, they've crept out into sight. Astralis spots out just the tiniest little shoulder of a player. Sends in a paranoia for assistance.
Ooh.
Mel, it's a bit choppy. And now WADA are closing in on these B players. Alexis holding her own for the moment. That all starts to fall to pieces as Noya is left alone on the wrong side of the map.
Felt a little strung out there for Shopify Rebellion. They lose a player to that passive offline, then they lose a player up in mid on that lurk, and feel super rushed to go into that execute with only, two members actually, or three members available to make a go of that one. Now, no impossible task here. It's a 1v3, but with the spike down, with crossfires established, she won't have a chance.
I love to see Starbound finding success on these off angles, getting the openers with the chamber. Because when you're able to do that, like, you think about all the rounds back on Pearl where Dodo was playing like the lurk style, that B-long contain, that made it really easy for Shopify to play their macro out. But if Dodo's instantly just getting domed, well, WADA don't really have to react too much to that.
Starbound has made a change compared to other maps where they're not posturing into super aggro lines as often and have been playing some of these more passive angles. You see here just setting up over towards mid on an off angle. Things like this make really nice plays as Dodo.
Well,
okay.
I've seen that one before.
Repeat of the pistol, dies in mid there.
Yeah, unfortunately for her, WADA seem to be aware of it. Oh, that's a little teleport across from Mel. Popping the wall too as Alexis, rather Sarah, sneaks into the site. Don't think it's going to matter too much though. Juna's been playing around these smokes pretty nicely. I think her anchoring has been very solid and a big difference so far on this third map.
One away, Starbound. Yeah, get some support from Power Pixel. Talk about those old duos in GC. Obviously, Mel and Alexis, they've won, what, 11 trophies together now, but
I've stopped counting because it's just ridiculous, personally.
I tried to this morning, but I'm honestly not sure if I tallied right because there were so many. Yeah. It's like 11, but then if you count for the Women's Summer Showdown, which was also a 50K like pre-Game Changers tournament, it's 12.
Do you count like the two champions they also won? Like,
I think you count it, but stop the count at this point. They've won too many.
Wrap it up. We don't need to know anything more. They just...
4 ults for WADA here.
That they have. Now, Shopify Rebellion. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Astralis is up on top of that. I don't know about that. DodoNut has been playing quick all day long and is finally rewarded for it.
There. Yeah, haven't seen a lot of those Dodo entries, and Shopify now get to actually play a slower round. All 5 group towards A. They wait on the smoke to fade and now creep up.
Shopify, I mean, they've got the ultimates like you're talking about. Great on the exec, but Starbound being could be an issue. Options to teleport away. Doesn't have that actually placed just yet, but still playing on a deeper angle that's going to be harder to push them off of.
Off your feet!
Rolling Thunder now. Going into the site. Starbound is not hit, so while their teammate does fall and the smoke goes in, I thought they had some hope, but DodoNut is just ripping that away. Beautiful entrance onto the site.
Finally, the Dodo takeover round. Oh, they spotted the chamber as well.
That's crazy. The layers of utility after the hit. It's something we talked about before. When they have those ultimates, they still have that refreshable util to threaten a fight back towards spawn or sometimes even go for it for real.
So disciplined in calling out exactly what util they're going to use on any of these executes. It's very nice stuff from Shopify Rebellion. Got a little weird there in A main with Astralis TPing up onto that angle. I think WADA have had a very great awareness thus far this series of when Dodo's going for these fast plays on Neon. That was a rare miss where they got caught off guard.
Yeah. So looking at, I think Astralis put down not the one-way smoke in main, but actually smoked the choke and thought she could get up on top of that box before anyone in their right mind would be swinging it.
Unfortunately for Astralis, Dodo,
yeah, she didn't anticipate the fact that Dodo is not in her right mind.
Yeah, that's tough.
So yeah, see that smoke blooms there, and then the teleport.
It's also like a falling one way there, so it's even more of like sus to run through it. Dodo doesn't care.
Yeah,
Gets the opening.
Dodo's gonna run through one ways, run through doors that are closing in front of her. She just doesn't care. Does a little bit different. Looks like this round though, WADA gonna creep out into this mid space. Have an operator to hold into tiles, but again, Dodo is just flying into elbow. This is very much Shopify's default so far.
Holds it at the corner now. Doesn't want to die to the op that has been here before. WADA started really heavy into mid. They full pulled away from that setup, and the chamber, now without even having to use the TP gate, is on a full reposition to get posted on this line towards A. But the hit is almost entirely going to come through elbow, and that means it's all down to Astralis and the Thorns that they have to support.
Hunter's Fury for the exec. Drone now coming around the left side of site. And once it sees no one playing back slant, that is easy entrance for DodoNut. WADA are going to have 3 players ready to flood in, but the option for Sarah to use the Hunter's Fury as these players come down through shop could just stunt this retake in its entirety.
How many ults do WADA have to use? That's really the question.
That's
Here comes
one.
the Nightfall to start. Great paranoia as well.
Counter Hunter's Fury, though. Eyes on what Sarah's going to be able to do with that one. Just disrupting the retake for now as Femboy goes flying into the site. They call it. The shots, they're there. WADA 3 out of nowhere. That is perfection. WADA destroy Shopify on A.
Oh, that is pretty to watch. We have seen all series long Shopify getting away with murder in the post plants, but there, Nightfall denies audio for all those players, so no one hears the Neon just ripping it in from stairs, sliding onto the player in slant, and then pinching in with the players through spawn. All very well done. I honestly thought for a second that Sarah's Sova ult was going to be enough to stall that hit, but it all goes down to the Neon play from Femboy. First time that we've seen them off of that Yoru in the series.
Yeah, Starbound also, I think, got a spam shot. Maybe playing off
With
of
the
minimap or something. Yeah, like through a smoke. Got that one.
Didn't quite catch it.
Really nice stuff. Now it looks like a
Mid-fight
mid-brawl,
here.
though. Here we go. Starbound creeping up, jumps onto the high line with the operator before teleporting away. I think WADA are going to give that up now. Seeing so many bodies from Shopify Rebellion in that space.
Look how far Nora's got it into B main. Baits
I mean,
out
she
the wall.
sees she sees and hears so many people in mid that she's willing to take that risk and take that timing.
It is a risk nonetheless rewarded. That stun.
Whoa.
Oh!
They got in front of the stun, but one for one's all that's going to be there. Still Shopify playing this round slowly.
And look at the minimap for WADA. This is another one of those rounds where it starts to get weird in the mid round. They lose info and they start rotating. This time, though, they actually keep 2 members on B. A new operator line for Starbound. They're so good at finding that second angle with the refresh of the TP gate.
Ooh, it's actually a deep smoke this time. Trying to rely on the drone to push away the potential up, but they know it's here. They see Starbound going for the peak, and the shot does not connect. Teleport over. WADA trying to flood into the site. Juna is only good for the one. And it's just Astralis back here, calling in her teammate. Femboy as well, trying to go push around this left side. With 20 seconds left onto the clock, Shopify Rebellion under immense pressure, but they face up together, and it will be Sarah to see the round through.
Femboy nearly found that spray transfer. But something I've noticed all series is I think Juna oftentimes, I'd like to see her play a little bit more proactive when anchoring a site with these Thorns. I think they're very often with that first wave of utility, falling back and then trying to fight back in through smokes like you saw here and kind of end up in these positions where if anchoring with the chamber, you have this dilemma where you don't want to overcommit with your chamber who's going to TP out, but then if they actually get a kill, then you're in this position where you're running through a smoke, and Shopify has just done a great job of punishing that all series.
All right, moment to breathe here before the final round of this half. Shopify Rebellion playing slow into mid. They've pivoted away from playing early A the last couple of rounds. It was successful for them last time around. Does mean they have to use some utility to break past this one-way on the forward A line. Actually, no one's holding at the time being for WADA, instead doubling back into elbow.
Sarah thinks that her shock dart broke the trip in mid. It didn't. That info is still online, so WADA get to hold a double setup on site here.
I'm still thinking, like, what does Mel actually want to do? Does have the ultimate and the spike in her hand, so right now looks like it'll be that sell of an A fake, this time putting Sarah next to Donut. Previously it had been Alexis. Maybe even sending a flash and some noise into B main. It could be Mel pivoting back into the Neon if they're successful over there. Either way, the clock is starting to wind down. Under 40 seconds for now. Still Starbound to deal with on this site. The stun comes in, paranoia as well. Shopify Rebellion are certainly showing a lot, but Power Pixel has not flinched, is still in elbow, but can't find that first kill. Falls back into slant now as more and more utility goes their way. First kill comes in, and now Astralis is rotated over. WADA have players coming into the site. We're down to 15 seconds, and Power Pixel is still alive. WADA now down to 10 seconds, may have just done this. There's not enough time to get the spike, let alone plant it. Shopify Rebellion have to find find the kills, and they will not be there. Femboy is just dancing on Noya, and WADA will lead 7-5 going into the second half.
First time this grand finals that we've seen WADA in the lead going into a halftime. And that last round is pure pandemonium. The fake into B, late pivot into A. But unfortunately for Shopify, the spacing is a little off there. Dodo dies first. And then just so much credit to PowerPixel and Femboy staying alive for just so long to win out that round on time.
Doing the salsa out there. It's absolutely mental. Whew.
Reset now. Another pistol round. WADA won it in the first half. It was their first of the series. And they do it again here.
Looks to me like WADA will be moving in towards mid. Door being closed by Noya initially. Really just Sarah playing top mid. Question is, how quickly do WADA want to go? Smoke on the top right of mid. I mean, we're just sending it. Femboy is into the thick of things. Stun tags on both players, but also hits themselves. Oh, cross-map assistance from Sarah. And now Juna finds yet another. Femboy continues bolstering into the site. WADA have B.
And it's going to be a great post plan as well. Still Starbound stuck in on this site. Now having to go back and re-clear into main. They'll secure this space, and Shopify, there's so many angles they have to worry about. Clearing through spawn, clearing through market, and they are all separated 1-1-1.
All 1v1s for Shopify. What can they find? Not playing for teamwork this time, instead playing for the individuals. But Mel has rotated back into Dodonut, 3-on-3.
Mel's paranoia sold them that there was a heavy flank presence, so everyone is worried about fighting into main from WADA.
And now they're stuck behind this smoke. WADA have run into a lot of trouble playing in B main previously. Already a half stick, but the Spuser has been killed. Starbound gets 2, and WADA take their second pistol of this game.
Man, those post plans without pings scare me these days, but they pull it off.
Out.
Honestly, it kind of comes down to luck that they hit that spam and actually kill the diffuser at the time they did. Because Alexis was a second away from pulling that off. Regardless, that's 2 pistols in a map 1 for WADA. The first time that has happened in the last 2 games that these squads have played against each other.
And, I mean, judging off of the evidence, if you win both pistols, you just win the map. So, see if that adds up. Starbound's not going to overstay their welcome on that line. When you see 3 players lining up the firing squad, you get out of there pretty quick.
That you do. And then you slow the round down a little bit, try and diffuse any more aggression like that.
Oh,
one over towards B.
It's a Mel masterclass. We've already read it. There's too much noise being made in B main.
Stacking A.
It's so fake. It's so fake, says Mel. She tells her entire team to leave her alone on this site.
Oh, it's
and they
perfect.
4-stack.
And look at the crossfires. They suspect this to be heavy through elbow. There's going to be a stun, a dart, and the neon sliding off contact.
It could be ugly. PowerPixel isn't even with the team. The initiator utility isn't there. And Noya backside is finding 2 with the classic. WADA have to get out of there.
They're leaving PowerPixel alone. Now they're selling a fake late A and trying to pivot B.
Going
but
on?
Mel
is still
are they
B.
coming back A?
Oh, it's a problem.
What is happening?
A big, big problem. 35 seconds left on the clock. A new lurker enters the mix. Is Starbound actually going to come back into this play or no? We're going towards Boba
into Mel.
with 25 seconds left on the clock. This could be a disaster. Now, Mel only has the classic. But what else does she have? A paranoia, some teleports, some tools to play with now. That paranoia is going to connect onto the 1. With 12 seconds left, WADA under immense pressure. First one dealt with. PowerPixel is there, and Starbound just barely sees this round through.
Well, obviously that is a masterclass round from WADA. They perfectly manipulate the rotation, running through defender spawn into B. What was that round? That was absolutely ridiculous. This setup was great from Shopify. First of all, into the read they go. Stun 3 players and get those kills. But it all comes back to PowerPixel, who has been key in so many of these eco rounds this game over, be it the Sheriff or the Spectre. And now, Fane from the Neon going fast into A main, but Dart will show that nothing is really behind that as WADA look instead to maybe set up a split for the B site.
First look at Shopify's hold on a full buy round here. It's going to be fairly passive. You'll see a lot that Noi will play backside B, oftentimes in both of these very deep lines on the Cypher. Allows her team to fight aggressively on the other angle. But what it also means is if you come into her site and they've got a read, players are already here. There's so much utility for Sarah and gang to play off of. The first tripwire is broken. That's going to be a kill. Juna comes into backside, but Noya's already there. A beautiful stun from Dodo Nut. I mean, it is just classy out of Shopify Rebellion.
Shopify Rebellion are such a good team to watch if you just want to see the fundamentals of how to retake a site with players already holding backside. On Haven and here on Sunset as well, they do a great job of playing around an anchor smoke, isolating these fights, waiting for the rotates to come in, and just winning on the retakes. That stun as well was just beautiful from Dodo. That's a round to get him back into it.
I don't think we appreciated either that WADA did buy up in that round after only
because
having
of the damage on round 14.
Yeah,
only
but
one
choosing
survivor
not to take
from
the
that
bonus, it does give Shopify Rebellion a chance to ease up on that gap, close the distance just a little bit.
Cover going
They
out.
do have the Vise ult here. I don't think they'll want to use it unless they're already in a winning position. Just 5 walking into mid, trying to take space through market.
Alexis has a fault line ready to go, if it's even necessary. There it is. I mean, Sarah just keeps finding them. Just nothing you can do if you're WADA. Again, playing off the Cypher utility and the support staff as well, all coming together.
And from what felt like a runaway game for WADA, Shopify is right back in it. Up to 7 rounds. Gap is down to 2, and despite saving that last round, Power Pixel still only has a Guardian. The money is again on a breaking point for WADA. This is a super important round for them to win.
This goes here.
What's the call going to be? Been a lot of mid-play so far out of WADA. That's what they're trying to condition Shopify into dealing with, whether that's the top mid push, whether that's the late lurk, whether that's everyone going into market. So a timeout will be called to adjust their approach heading into round 17.
Yeah, I think a lot of what this has to be about, first of all, is the buy. They're in kind of a weird position trying to figure that one out. With the ultimates, they should be able to get it online. But I think they really have to deal with how this kind of setup is over towards B with Noya's utility. Shopify is playing really passive site holds where they're basically only concerned about holding back site. They're not giving away a lot in these early rounds. So I'm looking to see how WADA as a team can deal with like the second phase of that execute where you're actually pushing into backside, fighting through and being a little more Shopify-esque in saving some of their utility, maybe a paranoia to actually get that second phase going.
Yeah, would you ever like to see them go for like an actual contact walkout onto the site? Even forgo some of that utility, try and catch up on these Cypher
I mean,
players?
I would not hate that at all. I think, especially towards B, there's very rarely a player contesting towards B main. Same in A, it's been these more kind of passive trap play setups. WADA goes back to kind of a similar default we've seen before, pressure A main and then walk back into mid.
Yeah, maybe just gonna leave I was gonna say leave Starbound to hold the cross in mid with the chamber up, but the top mid smoke gonna be a little harder to get up on that line. Instead, looking for a quick re-clear after the one-way goes down, but that was refreshed, and with Mel shooting the Prowler, WADA have not been able to break that line.
And look again, Mel hears this noise, she feels this pressure, and does not trust it. Sends Alexis rotating towards mid. They think it's going to be a play into mid, and they're right.
This could be trouble. Alexis has a stun ready to work with. Is smoked off on the other side, so she is ready to counter stun. That is brilliant. Coming on in there. And now Sarah up on the line, gets pushed away, can't see anything. And you find Noya all on her own. 1-on-3, maybe even 1-on-5. Femboy is just all over the place. A very nicely constructed round from WADA. End of the forward posting forces Shopify on away completely.
Dodo facing down the barrel of this chamber. Tour de Force doesn't want to test it. I think Shopify knew exactly what was happening in that round. Mel realized the pressure in A main was fake. They knew nothing was going on towards B main. They repositioned Alexis to be on a stun line to support Sarah, and even had Noya set up to deal with it as well. Unfortunately, for Shopify, it was just 2 rare whiffs from the SR girls. Shara doesn't get that opportunity towards spawn, and then Noya just gets overwhelmed by some excellent movement out of Femboy, and WADA come away with a round win.
I think it was important, too, Femboy's sort of movement getting across that line initially, because they were completely stunned up, but it was that movement that made it harder for Sarah to actually land a headshot. They got tagged up, but couldn't actually get the round.
It makes me wish we got to see a little more of Femboy's Neon, because it's been a lot of the Yoru, the first 2 maps of the series, and a lot of the other maps that WADA play in the pool, but I think their Neon is up there with Dodo in being some of the absolute best in GCNA. Been a couple rounds now that have basically just had a critical kill, one off of movement diffs on the Neon.
Well, it's that Neon that's helping WADA make a case here in map number 3. First time hitting double digits in this series, up to 10. And back to their ways of playing into this mid with a high haunt, smoke in top mid, and taking their
Dodo
time.
opping on the Neon. Saw this last time they played quite a bit. Dodo loves trying to beat timings with the op, get into B main, walk up into mid, and take a shot there. She's very aggressive when she has this op in hand, and has the advantage now of WADA not knowing the weapon's been purchased.
I also think there's an element. Dodo knows that Starbound's opping on the other side, and likes her odds in that fight, that's for sure. But it does mean that things have stalled out for both teams, really. Shopify not doing anything aggressive. Again, Noya's all the way back in Boba. And WADA
Look at their setup.
Yeah.
It almost looks like Shopify is just like AFK and spawn. They are so passive here. Do not want to give anything away until WADA go for an exec.
It makes sense. Sarah's got a Hunter's Fury. You know, they're always going to have control of her backside with this tripwire and the cage over on Trash as well. So very hard for WADA to accelerate on in. Steel Garden will go down. Camera will see the players coming through. And Femboy likes their chances, peeking back towards Boba. Hunter's Fury now. The goddess of death, Sarah, has 2. Her Hunter's sight is unlocked. She sees everything. Sarah has opened up the pathway back into B for the team. Shopify Rebellion, regroup, take their time, call Mel back over. They know they have the numbers coming back. Femboy turns it right back around. 2 kills through the smoke, and they're not falling back either. Quick movement, sliding into the corner, baiting for Astralis. What is that out of Femboy? Mel now with an operator is taken down. A mad round, but it is Femboy on top.
The second round now, pretty much in a row, where we're praising what Shopify are doing, where they're in a winning position, and Femboy absolutely steals it away. That was incredible control backside, not just with the movement, but with the patience on their aim to get each and every one of those kills. And Christy, that is coming off of absolutely perfect Neon stun. Look at that there. Stun catches onto 2 players at default from the Neon. The ult gets 2 kills. And then it's just Femboy with the spam and the slide to put WADA 2 rounds away from winning this map.
Sunset within touching distance for WADA. It also is going to put Shopify down onto a half buy. Effies will call a second timeout. Haven't seen that today. Shopify Rebellion are certainly getting tested, and this is what we have been promised. Every time WADA has faced up against Shopify, it has been close games. 2 series they've played, both going 2-1 in favor of Shopify. WADA have woken up, Mimi.
They are the only team in Game Changers this year to take a map off of Shopify. And they did it in both games they played against the championship squad, trying to make that 3 here in the grand finals, trying to prove that that win in kickoff was not just because Shopify was absent. And a damn good chance, at least for a map here. They win this, they go into Lotus. They've beaten Shopify on Lotus in the past as well, and
just 2 days ago
start to spin a tail.
Still requires things being calm here for WADA. Shopify Rebellion, they've gone back into their classic ways of eco. 4 stack on the B site. Mel asks for no help. Just put a judge in my hands. Back towards A. But WADA, we've seen them run into trouble on these anti-ecos when they play the slow round, hoping for information that they never get, and then rotate into the stack with too little time. That's a concern.
Bring them down.
And talk of stacks, it is a big one this round. 4 players set up on B. And Mel in this corner. There's a danger ping there. They're aware of the possibility, but still, that judge is dangerous to deal with.
Oh, they know completely. Going 4 players the way of Shop. Smoke there. Now the trip will reveal exactly what's going down. But as long as they don't give Mel an opportunity to find a fight here, things should be just about fine for WADA.
A complete isolationist policy.
30
Lock her up, put her away,
Spike
and
planted.
don't give her a kill. Don't give her a kill.
Oh, you're not
We're not
giving
giving
Mel
Mel
a
a
kill!
kill!
Is it happening again? Mel with the paranoia buys herself a little bit of space. Question is, will Power Pixel be able to find
Dodo?
something? Dodo Nuts on site. It is a catastrophe if this slips away from WADA. Power Pixel is bringing it back though, and Starbound is there. It equalizes into a 2-on-2, a moment of respite, a chance to take a breather, and Starbound slithers away as well. The op is posted on the line, but Sarah bests her. And now Power Pixel in a 1-on-2.
No way.
Shopify Rebellion steal the eco for themselves.
Sarah literally chases Starbound out of the site, and with just a few seconds to spare, they win that round. Honestly, WADA looked like they were playing with walls for a second there. They seemed to have the exact read as to where Mel was, pinging it out, circumventing her, getting a free sight, and then the worst timed reload for Astralis ends in their death, a sliding neon, and it just all falls to pieces.
What is it with that position in shotguns this GC? Just last week we saw that happen with Ghost and YFP. A poorly timed reload, a shotgun on the eco. And now WADA, they knew they were so close, and they still are. Still have a buy, but they have to reset, bounce back quickly.
So they take it easy. Walk into mid, pressure the tripwire, and try and break that one down.
Big ol' damage.
Take some spam, even a shot onto Sarah as well. This is
Very
a
nice.
great start to the round for WADA.
Yeah, the threat of that operator in mid makes it
Mel.
so hard to play, and a well-timed lurk from Juna. WADA already with 2 kills. Alexis maybe to try and creep in front of this smoke and bring her team back into the round. The Nightfall will ping her out and keep things very well under control for the rest of WADA. As I say that, here comes Shopify. 2 kills already. Juna equalizing on the other side though, and WADA will take a big breath of relief as they know Noya's only down onto 7 HP.
No health to work with. First player spotted, and now WADA can reposition. Noya's not going for it.
Yeah, has the operator
Grabs
to
the
go
off
ahead and
instead.
save.
She'll be able to buy a teammate here. Alexis will get a gun, and they'll manage to scrape together some kind of buy going into the next round. WADA, though, a very nice execute onto that A site there. Slow start, get a kill on the lurk, and then are immediately picking up the pace into A.
Now, with WADA going up to map point, that definitely gives them a little bit of buffer to play with. But I am a little bit concerned with the ultimate Shopify Rebellion have at their disposal.
Yes.
We've seen so much today with the amount we've seen of Alexis on Breach and Dodo that's Neon. The combining of those 2 ultimates has, I don't know the stats off the top of my head, I would venture to say 100% win rate when Shopify are committing both of those abilities to a play.
They don't want to go for anything off the rip. Dodo will get a gun bought over from Alexis. I imagine if they go into a retake later round, they'll throw that gun over, rip the ultimate. It's going to be posturing towards A main, but of course without that Neon, who's instead posted in mid.
I mean, you remember back to the pistol round, it was that top mid smoke on the right side. WADA have shown a lot of Femboy sprinting through that top space. Oh no,
Ow.
Dodo can't find the shots. Now there's an ultimate back into spawn, but Sarah is wrapping around on Astralis. That's 2 kills immediately returned from Shopify Rebellion.
But they're still going to get out onto B for WADA. Juna has Thorns, has a flash. They'll have a solid post plant here, but Alexis has the Rolling Thunder. And if they feel the need to commit that, it should be the tool to lock up this round.
Femboy playing those forward lines. was a serious issue previously for Shopify to get past on these post plants. This time, though, Femboy down to 41 HP. Good scouting. We'll see all 3 players, I do believe. So the fight comes into market. Mel deals with Juna. And now with all this utility just battering away the players trapped here on site, Starbound tries to provide some amount of cover for Femboy back on default. That slow is not going to be a good thing for Alexis. Another pick. Now the off shot misses. Femboy on the wide swing, but pulls away from the fight. Noya's on the spike. It's a one-on-one all of a sudden. Then Noya is sticking through. The kill comes in, but it is too late. We're still in it.
Woo! WADA nearly steal that one back. They play that post plant so well, doubling up front sight, buying so much time. Even that chamber trip, the thorns all coming into play, proving just how potent this Vicente comp is, even down in numbers. But a couple key kills coming through in the mid rounds, and Shopify just having the nerve to stick things through. This is a team that is so hard to actually put down. And the thing is, you talked about the ults. They had to use the 2 key ones there for Shopify. They still have a Neon ult. They still have money. They're still in this game.
Oh, wow. Steel Garden pop 10 seconds into the round. WADA aren't wasting any time. Noya is going to want those shots back. That could have got another round, but this is all a ruse, Mimi. WADA snuck 1 player into market. The spike is traveling over towards A. And what? Juna wins that fight? Are you kidding? And gets out with her life.
Thorns activated.
But doesn't keep any players here. They fully know this is a hit towards A, and look at Mel. She
creeping
lurked into the
forward.
smoke.
That's the kill. And now the ultimate coming in. The flood from Shopify Rebellion into the smoke, just all over the place. That spike still back on the corner of sight. And Shopify Rebellion have brought the whole team in.
And Juna is so late. Only 20 health to work with. And Shopify, enough time to set up properly on this site.
Player standing.
Oh, brutal timing. Trying to swing around the right side there. The second Noya goes for the swing. Good luck, Juna. On 20 HP, smoked away too, stunned up. Shopify Rebellion just adding insult to injury. Double digits for them would put this within 2. And Juna knows there's no round left to be played. They're going to have to try again in the next.
It was such a good start for Juna. Working all the way into that B site, miraculously getting that kill left. Coming out of the smoke in market. It doesn't end up happening. Still, these are having to come down to some really tense retakes for Shopify. I think WADA have done a great job of calling their macro and oftentimes coming back into these lurks from Juna super late to get plants down and get into these advantageous post plants. If they can keep that up, it just comes down to finally converting one of these close post plant rounds.
Last player
Bit of pandemonium on the site there with the site smokes. Good on Dodo Nut to get the upper hand there. It'll be WADA. Last time out of regulation here. And what's their pivot going to be? Because they don't have the money, Mimi, quite frankly.
They're broke.
Yeah, Starbound's going to have the op. They saved over the 1 Phantom, so it's not hopeless, but it's certainly not looking good.
Certainly isn't. WADA, some of their players have been in this position before. When Power Pixel and Starbound were on a team back on EG, the one squad who's actually beaten Shopify in a final. It came down to these overtimes a lot. They won 13-11, 13-11, and a 15-13 to actually take that game off of Mel, Alexis, Sarah, and the gang who was on that roster back then. But this is going to be still tough to close out. You're basically banking on round 24 unless Starbound or Juna can make a hero moment happen here.
It's got to be weighing in the back of WADA's minds as well, right? That eco round that they lost just a few ago, right? This would already be over if they'd won that. Now forced onto another eco, forced onto potentially 1 round to determine an OT or not. Still so many challenging opponents to work through. Dodo Nut forced away from the early angle. WADA maybe gearing up for a B split.
Look at the setup. Alexis has the stun. They can go either towards market or main off of either of her teammates' contacts.
Thinking about top mid as well. Area that's been played with a lot from WADA. especially with that market door still closed.
Juna postures up. Top mid. Mel?
June has been
Very
so
passive
effective
here.
But the fights aren't really going WADA's way. Shopify Rebellion playing super passive around the map. Still feel good about market. Door has only just been broken, but a smoke quickly replied with. WADA, it's time to group up and do something here, or the clock's gonna again beat them.
But look what SR have. They have a paranoia, they have a stun, and they're
it's a
posturing
refight.
back into main.
Here we go, Alexis and Mel with the gun swinging straight into the line. But Femboy and Juna, that's 2 quick kills. Donut is out of here. Donut has the up. She can't leave the site. She needs to find some kind of a kill, but the paranoia will push her away. WADA have the numbers now in the plant.
And this is a really difficult retake. Only Sarah's utility. Dodo with an op in hand. WADA
Slides
could
out.
close it here.
Posting up now. Shopify Rebellion need to find something, but these angles, WADA are not affording them any opportunities. Drop down comes in from Sarah. Starbound's good this time around. And now falling back into main. No smokes to pose any problems for them. Juna continues to dominate from on-site. WADA on an eco of all things now in a 4-on-1. Dodonut is out, and WADA are here to play with a thrifty to force us onto a map 4.